Welcome to Reality Decoded's live featured content presentation, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, up to you. But here we are with the topic of this evening's stream, means of manipulation. And we're going to start out here at good old Wikipedia. It's a wonderful source of information and misinformation and all sorts of whimsical knowledge. But we're here at Wikipedia just to kind of refresh ourselves a little bit on exactly what memes are. Um, Prior to when they became popular social media tools of manipulation. And if or not you share and agree with my thoughts and opinion that memes are forms of mind control and thought implantation as well, is the manipulation of the masses into a desired thought train, is up to you. You're free to not share and agree with that thought and opinion and provide thoughts and opinions of your own for further debate. But no further ado, let's get on and nonetheless see what Wikipedia is saying about what exactly memes are. And almost immediately my eyes have become extremely screwy, although they weren't screwy when I was just reading through prior to pressing record. So anyway, a meme is an idea, behavior, or style that becomes a fad and spreads by means of imitation from person to person within a culture and often carries symbolic meaning, representing a particular phenomenon or theme. I will add here at this point in brackets, or propaganda. A meme acts as a unit for carrying cultural ideas, symbols, or practices, again in brackets, propaganda, that can be transmitted, just like a virus can be transmitted, from one mind, again, the word they use there, one mind to another, through writing, speech, gestures, and rituals of sharing and agreeing, for example, or other imitable phenomena with the mimicked theme. Supporters of the concept regard memes as cultural analogues to genes, in that they self-replicate, mutate, and respond to selective pressures. 99% of you aren't brave enough to share and agree would be a selective pressure. They are selecting if or not, or giving you the choice to select if or not you're brave enough to share and agree with the meme. And by thus doing it, you are self-replicating that meme by sharing and agreeing it. So, as I said, first paragraph hopefully should have given you a little bit of an eye-opener, but this is a refresher. We have already previously over at TSP TV from the archives there have a couple of streams on mimological warfare and mimetical mind control. I did actually post those on TSP's brand new Facebook page today for some of you to maybe binge watch on mimetics today. And if you are or one of those individuals that chose to watch those two streams prior to this one, then this is kind of like the trilogy, maybe, or not a conclusion to those previous streams. I do not know. But anyway, proponents theorize that memes are a viral phenomenon, and the memes do spread virally, and it is the viral memes that spread are the memes that you need to be particularly aware of, because these are designed to go virally and to manipulate the minds of those that share and agree with them. And it is a viral phenomenon that may involved by natural selection in a manner analogous to that of biological evolution. And again, we're talking about how they're digitally replicating the natural frequencies of the earth, and how some of this technology is used and can be designed as purposeful mind control weaponry. Another way to back up and ensure that you're getting mind control is to provide you with imagery and mind control on those devices of mind control weaponry, doubling up your mind control in one little bundle. But anyway, you can emit the EMF frequencies, and then while you're under the influence of those EMF frequencies, then you can provide the visuals just like in Clockwork Orange, guys. And that is exactly kind of how memes are a danger, because they propagate the subliminal mind when you're scrolling through. Even the memes that you don't share and agree with are implanted into your mind subliminally. This is what we're talking about, thought implantations. But back to this, they can evolve similar to that of biological evolutions. Memes do this through the process of variation, mutation, competition, and inheritance. So sometimes variation. There are some cunning people out there that see a meme that is very popular and being shared a lot, and then they sort of get a similar image and copy and paste or just copy the text onto that meme that they recreate and then post it again. And then some people mutate that meme by saving the meme that they've saw and then maybe adding a sticker or an emoji or something else to it to make it their sort of own. And then these memes in turns sort of bait for competition on social media news feeds to be shared and agreed with. And some of us inherit those memes as our own individual faults as a result. But each of which influence a meme's reproductive success. So the more people that share and agree with it, the more it gets reproduced, and the more that thought gets implanted into the minds of the sharers and the agreeers. Is this starting to sink in, folks? Less prolifically, they may become extinct if they're not shared and agreed with. A lot of the memes that I personally create myself don't go viral and transmit or get replicated or mutate. They just die on their own after Nancy's given her obligatory sticker comment response to it. But anyway, while others may survive and spread, and for better or for worse, mutate, memes that replicate most effectively enjoy more success, and some may replicate effectively even when they prove to be detrimental to the welfare of their hosts. Second for that to sink in. Memes are detrimental, can prove to be detrimental to the welfare of their host, and they might be detrimental to the welfare of their host by removing the host's independent ability to think for themselves. But a field of study called memetics, something we've spoken a lot about at TSP TV and quite a lot of weeks and months prior to COVID, we did speak about memes in regards to mind control, and throughout the COVIDian era, the spread and rise of the people that are becoming sharers and agreeers to popular memes is becoming quite startling. But the term memetics rose in the 1990s to explore the concepts and transmission of memes in terms of an evolutionary model. Criticisms from a variety of fronts has challenged the notion that academic study can examine memes empirically. I can't read that. Sorry, it's a bit squinty, and when it's in blue, yeah, never mind. Moving on. However, developments in neuroimaging, sorry again, blurry eyes, may make that word I can't read, study possible. Some commentators in the social sciences question the idea that one can meaningfully categorize culture in terms of discrete units, and are especially critical of the biological nature of the theory underpinnings. Others that have argued also that this is the use of this term is the result of a misunderstanding in the original proposal. So sort of, memes is kind of, as we will discover a little bit, sort of how behavioral patterns of society do work. Monkey see, monkey do effect. We see people wearing skinny jeans, so eventually we start wearing skinny jeans. And when people suddenly stop wearing skinny jeans and start wearing Bell-bottomed jeans, we start wearing bell-bottom jeans. We see people that have earrings, we wear earrings. We hear people listening to certain music, we listen to the same music that they're listening to. Memetics spreads through fashion cultures, and this is how behavioral patterns of society are you know removed or introduced to society, and are we being reduced to a copy and paste, share if you agree society for the one world order? But the word meme itself is a neologism coined by Richard Dawkins, originating from the 1976 book The Selfish Gene. Dawkins' own position is somewhat ambiguous. He welcomed suggestion from Kay Humphreys that memes should be considered as living structures, not metaphorically, and proposed to regard memes as physically residing in the brain, although Dawkins said his original intentions had been simpler. He approved Humphreys' opinion, and he endorsed Susan Blackmore's 1999 project to give a scientific theory of memes, complete with the predictions and empirical support. So, etymology. The term meme is a shortening modeled on gene of meme. Meme. I can't say that, but you can read it for yourself. Meme for best attempt of pronunciation, but which comes from the ancient Greeks. Again, another sort of difficult word to say, mimemia, which means imitated thing itself from mimeshtai, from mimos. So there's a couple of words of origin that the word meme comes from, and it means basically to imitate or to mimic. The word was coined by the British evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins in A Selfish Game, as we just read, as a concept for discussion of evolutionary principles, explaining the spread of ideas and cultural phenomena is how are spread via memes. And examples of memes given in Dawkins' book include melodies, catchphrases, fashion, and technology of building arcs. A lot of buildings here in Toronto are part of the Agenda 2030 stack and pack boxes in the sky for you all to live in. They all look very, very similar, sort of, what I call Lego architecture. They all look almost identical or mimetical. And just to give you an example of mimetical catchphrases, be sure to hit the bell, smash the like, and subscribe. Those are some mimetical rhetorics for you. There is a picture of Dawkins, all in early formulations. Although Dawkins never invented the term meme and developed meme theory, he has not claimed that the idea was entirely novel, and there have been other expressions for similar ideas in the past. For instance, the possibility that ideas were subject to the same pressures of evolution as were biological attributes was discussed in the times of Charles Darwin. T.H. Huxley of 1880 claimed that the struggle for existence hold as much in the intellectual as in the physical world. A theory is a species of thinking, and it is right to exist is coextensive with its power of resisting extinction by its rival. So again, extinction of memes would be by not sharing and agreeing with it, and it only becomes it only exists the more that is being shared and agreed. So by putting ideology, propaganda in behavioral kind of context within memes that are being shared, and this spreads, and this is how society is breeded. So it starts with the thoughts, implanting the thoughts and the behavior, the desired behavioral patterns in the form of memetics that you then share and agree, and then hopefully you then continue to share and agree those within your daily routines. But in 1904, Richard Simon published Die Meme, which appeared in English in 1924 as the meme. The term meme was also used by Maurice Maeterlinck in The Life of the White Ant, with some parallels to Dawkins' concept. Kenneth Pike had in 1954 coined the related terms emic and etic, generalizing the linguistic units of a phenomenon: morpheme, grapheme, lexeme, and tangmeme, as set out by Leonard Bloomfield, distinguishing insider and outer views of communicative behavior. To try and explain what that is, again, putting the communicative behavior in the terms of it would be the text part of the meme that you share and agree with, and then they will add a picture that will either reference what they are saying, or make a satirical, humorous portrayal of what they're saying. Either way, never a truer word than that in jest. But the word meme originated in the selfish gene, as we've already heard about a couple of times in this, and Dawkins cites as inspiration for the work of a geneticist, L. Cavalli Sforza, anthropologist F.T. Cloak, and ethologist J.M. Cullen. Dawkins wrote that evolution depended not on the particular chemical basics of genetics, but only on the existence of a self-replicating unit of transmission. In case of biological evolution, the gene; in terms of psychological evolution, or in intelligence evolution, intellectual evolution rather, the means transmitted from person to person introduces the information to the individual, that then retains that information and then shares it accordingly. But for Dawkins, the meme exemplified another self-replicating unit with the potential significant in explaining human behavior and cultural evolution. How culture evolves is through memetics, the culture of playing hacky sack. People used to see people playing hacky sack on TV and in the movies and maybe at the beach, and then they went home and played hacky sack themselves. And Kilroy was here, an old meme from yesteryear, and that became popular in the 1940s and existed under various names in different countries. We used to call them chads in England, illustrating how a meme can be modified through replication. So that's what we do, is kind of put the chad looking over the wall in something we'd no football pitch, or no milkshakes. That was sort of what, and then you'd kind of what no would be the sort of the catchphrase, and then you would mutate it accordingly to whatever topic you wanted to. But it was a form of memetics that you may be familiar with and were unaware that was memetics. Sorry, I've done that thing again. We won't go too much longer into this Wikipedia. As I said, it does get a little bit boring and it is already hurting my eyes. But Dawkins used the term to refer to any cultural entity that an observer might consider a replication. He hypothesized that one could view many cultural entities as replicators, and pointed to melodies, fashioned and learned skills as examples. Memes generally replicate through exposure to humans who have evolved as efficient copiers of information and behavior. Because humans do not always copy memes perfectly, and because they may refine, combine, or otherwise modify them with other means to create new memes, they can change over time. Dawkins likened the process by which memes survive and change through the evolution of culture to the natural selection of genes in biological evolution. Just like fashions come into popular, practices, I guess, sooner or later those fashions become extinct and get forgotten about. As do some sort of bands and musicians, one-hit wonders and stuff. Dawkins defined the meme as a unit of cultural transmission, or a unit of mutation and replication, but later definitions would vary. The lack of a constant, a rigorous and precise understanding of what typically makes up one unit of cultural transmission remains a problem in debates about memetics. In contrast, the concept of genetics gained concrete evidence with its discovery of the biological functions of DNA. Meme transmission requires a physical medium such as photons, sound waves, touch, taste, or smell because memes can only be transmitted only through senses, and we also get to see them visually now, not only touch, taste, and smell them. We get to see them on our social medias. Dawkins noted that in society with culture, a person need not have descendants to remain influential in the actions of individuals thousands of years after the death. But if you contribute to the world's culture, if you have a good idea, it may live on intact long enough after your genes have dissolved in the common pool. Socrates may or may not have had a gene or two alive in the world today, as G.C. Williams has remarked. But who cares? The mean complexes of Socrates, Leonardo, Copernicus, and Marconi are still going strong today. And that is where we will leave Wikipedia on memetics for now, because as I said, it does go on, and you are perfectly free to go and continue and read all of this on your own. And there's lots and lots more there to look at evolutionary influences, memetics, criticism of meme theory, applications, religious, architectural, internet cultural. So memes, people, make up an awful lot more of society than just the quirky little things that we see on our social media newsfeed that we share and agree with. And are they harmless little quirky tools of amusement, or are they something far more sinister? Stay tuned. Memes of Manipulation continues almost immediately. And welcome back, guys. Only a very short intermission between the previous article and this article from Wired magazine, and its title reads, which I'm sure you can see, How Russian Trolls Used Meme Warfare to Divide America. A new report for the Senate exposes how the IRA used every major social media platform to target voters before and after the 2016 election. There's a picture of the Russian flag and some symbology there, I'm sure. But there is, and this comes from 2018, by the way, this article, and please, I apologize, get Wired for just $10.95. It's actually $5. We're not going to do that, but there is a meme on Instagram, and isn't there? When isn't there a meme on Instagram? Pretty much any given moment, there's a meme on Instagram or Facebook or you name it. There's a meme somewhere right now being shared and agreed with. But there is a meme on Instagram. The article says circulated by a group called Born Liberal. At first, it holds a cluster of strings reaching down into people with television sets for heads, and the text declares the people believe what the media tells them they believe. George Orwell, the quote is surely false, but it is also perfect in a way. Born Liberal was a creation of the Internet Research Agency, the Russian propaganda wing that might as well be part of Oceania. In other words, we live in a time when American democratic debate is being influenced by liars spreading memes about our inability to understand the truth. This particular meme is one of many revealed in a new report released on Monday, commissioned by the Senate Intelligence Committee and written by New Knowledge, a cybersecurity firm whose director of research, Rennie DeRista, is a Wired contributor. This report, along with a second one written by the Computatorial Propaganda Project at university. We never say that word if you're from Swindon, where that university is situated. Certainly not in this week when we lost the derby to them. Stuff you have no concept of, I'm sure. But university, that we will not mention, and Graphic offers the most extensive look at the IRA's attempts to divide Americans, suppress the vote, and boost then candidate Donald Trump before and after the 2016 presidential election. The report sheds new light on the way the IRA trolls targeted African Americans and the outsized role Instagram played in their work. Also calls into questions statements tech executives have made under oath to Congress in the past 18 months. The report by New Knowledge is based on a review of 10.4 million tweets, 1,100 YouTube videos, and 116,000 Instagram posts, and 61,500 unique Facebook posts published from 2015 through 2017. This is not a complete data set of Russian influence operations, but it is still the largest such analysis to take place outside of the companies themselves. And it shows that the Russians weren't just running a bland content farm churning out propaganda in broken English. The operation was deeply sophisticated and at times downright funny, as the report's authors note. The IRA was fluent in American trolling culture. But the most explosive finding in the report may be the assertion that both Facebook and Google executives misled Congress in statements. The researchers suggest that Facebook dissembled about the IRA's voter suppression efforts on the platform in written responses to Congress in October. Following the testimony of Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg in October, he said Sandbag, that would have been comical. But in October, she said something back in October. I lost my train of thought thinking about sandbags there. But anyway, at the time, the company was asked, does Facebook believe that any of the content created by the Russian Internet Research Agency was designed to discourage anyone from voting? Facebook responded, we believe this is an assessment that can be made only by investigators with access to classified intelligence and information from all relevant companies and industry. A Facebook spokesman went on to add that on Monday morning, we continue to fully cooperate with officials investigating the IRA's activity on Facebook and Instagram around the 2016 election. We've provided thousands of ads and pieces of content to the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence for review and shared the information with the public about what we found. Nevertheless, the report lays out ample obvious examples of how Facebook and Twitter were both used to discourage turnout. In some cases, the trolls tried to mislead people into texting their votes in, and in others, they encouraged Americans to vote for third-party candidates like Jill Stein or give up on voting altogether, which messages that read, fuck the elections. And I agree, actually, fuck the elections. Your vote has never mattered or never contributed to anything as a foregone conclusion. They just give you the impression that you're getting to choose who keeps you imprisoned in your invisible prison of solitude. It's not solitude. You sometimes have family and friends around and pay your visits, but you also get visiting time at the correctional facility. But meanwhile, the authors of the report questioned Google's disclosure just before the Senate Intelligence Committee hearing in October 2017. At the time, the company put out a statement saying that none of the IRA-linked YouTube accounts was targeted to the US or any particular sector of the US population. Yet the researchers found out, in fact, that the 1,100 total YouTube videos they discovered, 1,063 focused on police brutality and Black Lives Matter. 571 of those which had keywords related to the police and police brutality. While the statement was likely talking about advertising targeting, the report's authors believe that it appears disingenuous to, and you can read the full report at the bottom of this story. We conducted an in-depth investigation across multiple product areas and provided a detailed and thorough report to investigators. As we said at the time, videos on YouTube are viewable by anyone. Users can create videos intended for certain audiences, but there is no way to target by race on Google or YouTube. Yeah, right. Elbow cough, elbow cough. Is it either Laurie or Glynis that likes the elbow cough emoji? Insert it right now if you're watching Glynis or Laurie. Forgive me if I forget which one exactly it is. But Google spokesman said in a statement on Monday afternoon that it's impossible to target race videos for race, by race, I guess. The focus on police brutality and content in targeting African Americans wasn't limited to YouTube. Among more than a dozen web domains the IRA registered, the vast majority, including Do Not Shoot Us and Blacktivist Info, were aimed at black communities. Of the 33 interesting, most popular Facebook pages linked to the IRA, nearly half focused on black audiences. This effort was particularly successful on Instagram, where the account at Black Instagram amassed more than 300,000 follows and elicited more than 28 million reactions. Much of this content seemed designed to stoke distrust among American Africans in democratic institutions and depress black turnout for Democratic Hillary Clinton candidate. Conversations around the IRA's operations traditionally has focused on Facebook and Twitter, but like any hip millennial, the IRA was actually most obsessive about Instagram. Instagram was perhaps the most effective platform for the Internet Research Agency. The New Knowledge researchers wrote, all in, the troll accounts received 187 million engagements on Instagram. So just bear in mind, guys, that's 187 million sharing and agreeing engagements, or certainly a large proportion of that will be sharing or what do they do, rehashing, I don't know what it is on Instagram, or retweeting I'm thinking of, but about 40% of those accounts they created had at least 10,000 followers. That isn't to say, however, that the trolls neglected Twitter. There, the IRA deployed 3,841 accounts, including several personas that regularly played hashtag games. That approach paid off. 1.4 million people engaged with the tweets, leading to nearly 73 million engagements. So bear in mind, some of the things that you share and agree with on your social media come from these such accounts that design exactly the propaganda, the narrative, the text, and the visuals to create an exact reaction in you that will prime you to share and agree with that mimetical rhetoric, guys. And this is what I'm telling you. Share your own thoughts and opinions, not the thoughts and opinions that you've been suggested to share and agree with on your news feed. But most of this was focused on the news. Well, on Facebook and Instagram, the Russians prioritized deeper relationships, according to the researchers. On Facebook, the IRA notched up a total of, again, 33 numbers for you there, guys. Interesting. A 3.3 million page followers who engaged with their politically divisive content. 76.5 million times they engaged with that politically divisive content. But Russia's most popular pages targeted the right wing and the black community. The trolls also knew their audiences. They deployed Pepe memes, that was a funny little frog look, at pages intended for right learning millennials, but kept them away from posts directed to older conservative Facebook users. Not every attempt was a hit, while 33, again 33 that number, of the 81 IRA Facebook pages had over 1,000 followers. Dozens had none at all. Hit and miss, guys. The IRA trolls aimed to pit Americans against each other with divisive memes. Tools of division, tools of manipulation. And these memes is now well known that they put the Americans against each other with these memes, and it is now well known. But this latest report reveals just how bizarre some of the IRE's outreach got to collect personally identifying information about targets and perhaps use it to create custom and lookalike audiences on Facebook, or something trolls do, and I may or may not done it in my days of trolling, is create a clone account. So basically what you would do is you'd go onto the person's social media page that you want to clone, and start downloading all their pictures. Then you create an account with the exact same name and then start posting comments on their account, under that new account where it looks like it's them that is interacting. Causes all sorts of fun and games, believe you me. Don't suggest you should do that, but clone accounts, and this is what they do, kind of collect your thoughts and opinions, and you're sharing and agreeing memes, and then replicate that into a clone account that may or may not replace your actual account. But anyway, these lookalike audiences on Facebook were some of the things that they went to do. But the IRA Instagram pages sold all kinds of merchandise that included LGBT sex toys and many variants of triptych and 5-panel artwork featuring traditionally conservative patriotic themes. The IRA also worked to recruit offline converts with job listings, some of which reveal just how the trolls were willing to go to carry out their plot. One Facebook page called Army of Jesus offered free counseling to people with sexual addiction using ads that read, "Struggling with addiction to masturbation? Reach out to me and we will beat it together. Signed, Jesus." Um, the report also points out new links between the IRA pages and WikiLeaks, which helped disseminate hacked emails from Clinton campaign manager John Podesta in the weeks leading up to the election on October the 4th, 2016. Days before the first email dump, the researchers found Facebook and Instagram posts about WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, with a reinforced his reputations as a freedom fighter. Um, what these millions of digital artifacts do show when taken together is just how much planning and coordination went into the IRA's scheme. This obviously is influencing general elections with memes is probably the top of their operations, but these companies and organizations, not just the IRA. There's probably hundreds and hundreds of these organizations that do have, copycat accounts, clone accounts, shill accounts that are designed to spread and manipulate the minds of the masses through popular viral memes. But it is important to stress that all of this represents organic activity. That is to say that Russian presence, unrelated to the relatively small ad spent, that Facebook executives pointed to as the story first unfolded in what the report authors describe as an attempt to downplay the problem. The authors note that even silly memes can change minds. While many people think of memes as cat pictures with words, the Defense Department and good old DARPA have studied them for years as a powerful tool of cultural influence, capable of reinforcing or even changing values and behavior. What are the Department of Defense and DARPA doing researching extensively for years into memes for, if they are not weapons, guys? I'll wait for your answers. But the researchers can't say whether any of this propaganda actually influenced the election. That's partly to do with the squishy nature of measuring political persuasion, and partly to do with the fact that some key data remains missing. The researchers had no access, for example, to user comments or conversation data that might have helped eliminate the impact that this contact had. What these millions of digital artifacts do show when taken together is just how much planning and coordination went into the IRA's scheme. Between the Twitter handles, the Facebook pages, the Instagram posts, and the YouTube personalities, the fake local news sites, and in at least one case, a phony geopolitical think tank, the trolls created their own mini internet to prop up Trump and spread distrust in his opponent and the election system itself. What's more, their efforts remain ongoing years after the election. Using the trove of data, the researchers were able to uncover even more IRA linked Facebook pages, including one that was updated as recently as May this year. All of this demonstrates, according to the report authors, that over the past 5 years, disinformation has evolved from a nuisance into a high stakes information memological war. And yet, rather than fighting back effectively, Americans are battling each other over what to do about it. And they're sort of battling over what to do about it by sharing memes on to mask or not to mask, for example, in contemporary times. But we have conversations whether about or not bots, and that's fake artificially intelligent accounts, have the right to free speech. We respect the privacy of fake people, and we hold congressional hearings to debate whether YouTube personalities have been unfairly downright. The report reads, it is precisely our commitment to a democratic principles that puts us at an asymmetric disadvantage against an adversary who enthusiastically engages in censorship, manipulation, and suppression internally. And there is some alternative reporting on that. So there was a very interesting little article about how memes were used by a Russian internet research agency, and how memes were propagandized and distributed in order to influence the masses, the minds of the masses in how they didn't vote in that election. But don't worry, guys, we've got another article about weaponized memes coming right up now. Alrighty, guys, so here we are at Network World, where we have an article of opinion on memes and manipulation by Mark Gibbs, and this is from November the 30th, 2010. Um, 11 years ago, guys. A few days ago, one of my friends on Facebook posted to her wall a list of books, see below in brackets, supposedly from a BBC article, and noted that the BBC believes most people will have read only 6 of the 100 books listed. How do your reading habits stack up, was the further question. Of that post that was shared by this friend on Facebook back in 2010. The author goes on to say that he usually checks the articles like this to make sure that they are what they are claimed to be. But in this case, as it was only about books and it was just the basis for conversation, I waded in. Interestingly, as it turned out, the BBC list is a fiction that somehow came to life, derived from the BBC's The Big Read show in April 2003, a project to search for the nation's best loved novel. But the winner, it transpired, was Lord of the Rings, with which the rest of the top being Pride and Prejudice, His Dark Materials, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, To Kill a Mockingbird, Winnie the Pooh, 1984, The Lion, the Witch on the Wardrobe, and Jane ire. But on Facebook, the circulation, commenting, and republishing of the false list in my circle of friends made a noticeable spike in activity. And out of the exchanges, I wound up with two new Facebook friends. That is the words of the author, not me. But it is interesting to consider the behavior of this almost viral meme. And I say almost because it seems to have reappeared over many groups and over many years, each as separate chained events. Rather than doing the explode into popularity and then fizzle arc, which is more common for viral content, and in the passing along with the message that has morphed in both its pitch, the nation's favorite book, to you probably aren't, well, the pitch is the nation's favorite book and that you're not probably very well read, as well as what the books are in the list being changed. What is so powerful about this meme is its apparent robustness, even though it isn't what it is claimed to be. Remember, in the Wikipedia stuff about memes, it says they kind of survive and will only exist if they are a little bit, as this one is suggesting robust enough to do some and keep recirculating, and that keeps them in existence. And even though it isn't claimed to be, it doesn't matter. It has no consequence other than being something that gets social focus and engages people. And so it has been carried on for the better part of 7 years. What's really interesting is this kind of engagement mechanism that that marketers dream of. Imagine a list of top sodas or cars or makes of jeans getting this much visibility and discussion. And believe it or not, in 2021, I'm pretty sure they do that, and that is part of why they are getting you to share and agree all of these things. Maybe somebody that in the picture that you share and agree with might be wearing a particular brand of jeans that might be considered the sublimable product placement. But this imagine the likes of such forth as we just mentioned getting that visibility and discussion, and the companies that sell the product on the list would have to be thrilled at the free exposure, which is why many people are tracking memes and researching for clues as to why something like this goes viral. A recent conversation with another friend of the author got into the topic of ethics of this kind of engineering of content. My friend contended that this is manipulation of the worst kind because we are now attempting to engage people through their hidden desires and biases, hidden to them, that is, and not to the artificial algorithm, because it knows all your biases, because it copies and pastes all your data in its little storage units and memory banks for research analysis purposes. And so we are tugging into the strings of their psyches, no longer trying to sell them products, but trying to sell them ideas, and rather trying to play them through their biology to do as we wish. I'd rather agree there is something truly creepy about the idea of being manipulated through direct appeals to our more primitive, non logical minds. Share if you agree, guys. This one thing to have a traditional advertising to try to work on us using its normal hit and miss methods. But when you can engineer people to respond, it would appear that you could be crossing an ethical line. We all think that we are nowhere near to that kind of manipulation becoming a science, but you've got to wonder how far off we are from being able to generate effective commercial viral content. Remember, this is 11 years ago, guys, and I'm pretty sure now that they have um, reached that level of manipulation, and it is gone beyond the science to a method. So, my question to you, where does it become unethical to engineer rather than persuade people into paying attention to your message? And again, there is the amendment, I believe, to the list of books, and it goes on and gives you all the hundreds. So that was, we're not going to look at all 100, the end of the article again there. It does raise a few interesting points with regards to memes being a form of manipulation. But don't worry, guys, we've got some more articles to look up on the manipulation of memes. Right now, stay tuned. In a few seconds, there'll be another one right back at you, fresh and ready to go for your information and educational purposes only. Make of it what you will. Welcome back. Here we are with another weaponized meme article, this time from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the MIT Technology Review. That's a bit weird. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology Review. I don't know if that's correct or not, but anyway, the MIT. Some of you may be aware of who do pay attention to the content and information that I do bring you. MIT is part of the network associated with the Tavistock Institute, that manipulation think tank that's over 100 years old, that spends $6 billion a year on methodologies and practices and experimentation into manipulation of the masses. But anyway, how memes got weaponized, a short history from MIT. Goes on to say, memes come off as a joke, but some people are starting to see them as the serious threat they are. I'd like to think of myself as one of those people that sees them as a serious threat and tries to point out and inform some of you guys and give you some information regarding the threat of memes for your own informative purposes. And again, if or not you want to make up your mind to decide if or not memes are weaponized forms of mind manipulation and mind control, that's great. But if you don't, just go back to sharing and agreeing them on social media. Nothing bad can come of it, I'm sure. But October the 24th, 2019, was when this article was written. And again, they reference in October 2016, a friend of the author learned that one of his wedding photos had made its way onto a post on a right-wing message board, and the picture had been doctored to look like an ad for Hillary Clinton's campaign, and it appeared to endorse the idea of drafting women into the military. A mutual friend of ours found the image first and sent him a message saying, I saw this on Reddit. Did you make it? And that's something that not many of you people do. Not many of you make your own memes. Some of you do claim that the memes that you share say what you think, but you never ever took it upon yourself to make a meme of what you were thinking before seeing the meme. So did the thought come before the meme? Is it the chicken or the egg? Did the meme provide the thought, or did the thought provide the meme? But MIT Technology Review article goes on to say, and this is the picture there, is I'm not sure if that's his wedding picture. It doesn't look like he's going to a wedding, unless he's just sort of modeling his suit before he goes off to get married. And he does look a little bit beta male there, with his sort of I'm trying to compensate my small penis and lack of ability to pleasure women sexually by growing a beard and wearing an earring, but look at my glasses, they make me look intellectual. I've got a spiffy haircut as well. But anyway, he says that the picture goes on to say that he is a proud liberal. He's also a proud feminist, and I'm proud to be a hero's husband. And it got the hashtag at the bottom, and the red and blue form purple, and it's pointing to hashtag draft my wife. Can I imagine a whole platoon of PMSing wives descending angrily upon an enemy delved into the trenches? My goodness, you probably only need to give them a TV remote control and maybe a wooden spoon for the kitchen. You don't even need bullets and guns. I'm pretty sure the enemy would be obliterated within seconds. Imagine that, 3,000 screaming PMS women descending upon you. May God have no mercy on their souls. But anyway, this was the first of my friend had heard of this particular incident, and he hadn't agreed to have his image used this way, which was apparently taken from his online wedding album. And bear in mind, you do give your permission to all of your photographs, thoughts, and opinions that you post on social media. You give those the social media platform of choice, I guess, or you give them the rights to own your content and use it as they choose fit. And that even includes stuff you send in Messenger. So again, we sort of joked yesterday in the live stream that if you've ever sent a dick pic, then there's a very good chance that dick pic's been analyzed and scrutinized and maybe replicated. But so rather than poke the trolls by complaining, he ignored it and went on with his life. Most of his friends had a laugh at the fake ad, but I saw a huge problem. This is the author seeing a huge problem. As a research of media manipulation and disinformation, I understood right away that my friend had become cannon fodder in a meme war. The use of slogans, images, and video on social media for political purpose, often employing disinformation and half-truths. While today we tend to think of memes as funny images, online Richard Dawkins, who we heard about earlier and have heard about in previous stream, who coined the term meme in his 76 book, The Selfish Gene, where he described how culture is transmitted through generations. In his defamation, memes are units of culture. Remember, the fifth generation of digital technology, and all of a sudden, around the dawn of it, sharing of memes become even more prominent on my observations of what I was seeing on my social media feeds. But in his definition, memes are units of culture spread through the diffusion of ideas. Memes are practically salient online because the intellect crystallizes them as artifacts of communication and accelerates their distribution through subcultures. Importantly, as memes are shared, they shed the context of their creation along with their authorship. Unmoored from the trappings of an author's reputation or intention, they become the collective property of the culture or the collective thought of the hive mind who shared and agreed it. The 99% that were subdued and manipulated into sharing, believing that they were the 1% that was brave enough to share. See how the reverse psychology and power of persuasion works there, guys. But as such, memes take on a life of their own, and no one has an answer for transgressive or hateful ideas. And there is a picture of who is that? Is that Hillary Clinton, or is that I don't know. I can't even see who the individual that's been copied and pasted onto the Kill Bill poster there is an example of a meme. And while a lot of people think of memes as harmless entertainment, funny or snarky comments on current events, we are far beyond that now. Meme wars are a consistent feature of our politics, and they are a consistent feature of social media feeds. That's why I posted up the other day, how long can you go without sharing a meme? They are not just being used by internet trolls or some bored kids in the basement, but by governments, political candidates, and activists across the globe. Russia used memes and other social media tricks to influence the US election in 2016 using a troll farm known as the Internet Research Agency, as we just read about, to seed pro-Trump and anti-Clinton content across various online platforms. And Donald Trump is probably one of the most memed contents ever, and quite a few of you I do know that follow along Reality Decoded, and you've been known to share a Trump meme or two in your social media over the last couple of years of the formation of our little community here. But anyway, that's the Internet Research Agency that we just heard about. Trump was seeding pro-Trump memes. Both sides in territorial conflicts like those between Hong Kong and China, Gaza and Israel, India and Pakistan are using memes and viral propaganda to sway both local and international sentiment. So both, they use memes to control both sides of the narrative, the pro-government, the against government. This is the controlled opposition. They provide you your very own targeted memes to share and agree with. And then the more people that share and agree with pro-government stuff, maybe the ones that get to see another day. Those that don't share and agree with the pro-government propaganda, medical propaganda, I should add, may not get their Soylent Green allowance. The Bill is dead. No, kill Bill. There's some more memes there about Bill going on. But in 2007, for example, as he was campaigning for president, John McCain jokingly started to sing "Bomb, bomb, 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 Iran" to the tune of the Beach Boys' popular song "Barbara Ann." Okay, bomb, 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 Iran. It's kind of catchy, actually. Good job there. Although I'm pretty sure John McCain didn't come up with that. His little think tank of PR researchers come up with it probably. And in an Iran hawk was taking up a possible war using the well-worn tactic of humor and familiarity. Easy to dismiss as a joke, and something I've said, there's never a truer word than that said in jet, yet serving as a scary reminder of the US military power. And the US has been known to bomb Iran more than once. And maybe while they were bombing it, the fighter pilots that were dropping the bombs were singing that tune. But it became a political liability for him. The slogan was picked up by civilian meme makers who spread and adapted it until it went viral. His opponent, Barack Obama, in essence, got an unpaid support from people who were better at creating persuasive content than his own campaign was. So see how memes can influence. Hey, I remember that song, Bomb, 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 Iran. And there's a picture of him in front of the flag holding his microphone with a thumbs up. But the viral success of memes has led governments to try imitating the genre in their propaganda. These campaigns are often aimed at the young, like the US Army's social media focused Warriors Wanted program or the British Army campaign that borrows the visual language of century old recruiting posters to make fun of millennial stereotypes. These drew ridicule when they were launched early in this year, but they did boost recruitment. However, using memes this way misses the point entirely. As mentioned, great memes are authorless. They move about the culture without attribution. Much more authentic military meme campaigns are coming from soldiers themselves, such as memes referring to the bungling idiot simply known as Carl. US service members and veterans run websites that host jokes and images detailing the reality of military life, yet these serve a purpose not too different from those of official propaganda. They often feature heavily armed soldiers and serve to highlight, even in jokes, the tremendous destructive capacity of the armed forces. In turn, such memes have been turned into commercial marketing campaigns, such as one for the veteran-owned clothing company Valhalla Wear. Snowflakes, self addicts, your army needs you, your army needs you, and your compassion and your confidence. Binge gamers, your army needs you and your drive. My my friend's picture was appropriated for a memetic operation that aimed to associate Hillary Clinton with a revival of the draft. Recognizing this power of memes generated by ordinary people to serve a state's propaganda narrative in 2005, a Marine Corps major named Michael Prosser wrote a master thesis titled Memetics, a growth industry in the US military operation, in which he called for the foundation of a meme warfare center that would enroll people to produce and share and agree memes as a way of swaying public opinions. Anyone changing their opinion on memes by now? I certainly hope one or two of you are, but if you still are believing that they're just a fun thing to do and just share on social media when you're taking a shit or when you're waiting for your pumpkin spice latte at Starbucks, I just do a little bit of sharing and agreeing while I'm waiting for it. Oh, it's ready already. I only got to share two things, but never mind, I did my part. But as I said, memes can sway public opinion. They can also manipulate the thoughts. They can implant the thoughts themselves into your mind. So did you think it, or did the meme tell you that's what you need to think? But Prosa's idea didn't come to fruition, but of course it didn't. The US government did come to recognize memetics as a threat. Beginning in 2011, the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, good old DARPA, offered, get this, $42 million in grants for research into what it called social media in strategic communications, with the hope that the government could detect purposeful or deceptive messaging and misinformation and create counter messaging to fight it. Dear Diary, and there is one of those soldiers there, Valhalla, where I guess with his beard looking like the old eagle-eyed G.I. Joe there with all his military gadget. I like totally smoked this terrorist today is the phrase. Yet that research didn't prepare DARPA for the Russia 2016 disinformation campaign. Its extent was uncovered only by reporters and academics that revealed a fatal flaw in the national security. Foreign agents are nearly impossible to detect when they hide within the civilian population, unless social media companies cooperate with the state to monitor attacks. This tactic remains in play. All is love in war or in memological war and love. Love and warfare, I meant to say there, my apologies. But my friend's wedding photo provides a good illustration of how something, not my friend's, the author's friend, an illustration of how something as seemingly trivial as a meme can be turned into a powerful political weapon. In 2016, a Reddit message board referencing the Trump the Donald rather, was a well-known meme factory for all things Trump. Imagery and slogan earring were beta tested and refined there before being deployed by swarms of accounts on social media platforms to make it go viral. Famous viral slogans launched from the Donald included those having to do with Pizzagate and the Seth Rich murder conspiracy. Um, my friend's picture, again, the author's friend's picture, was appropriated for a memetic warfare operation called #DraftMyWife or #DraftOurDaughters, which aimed to falsely associate Hillary Clinton with a revival of the draft. The strategy was simple. The perpetrators took imagery from Clinton's official digital campaign materials as well as pictures online like my friends and altered them to make them look as if Clinton would draft women into the military if she became president. Someone who saw one of these fake campaign ads and then searched online would find that Clinton had in fact spoken in June 2016 in support of a bill that included a provision making women eligible to be drafted, but only in the case of a national emergency. The bill was passed, but it was later changed to remove that requirements. This was what made Draft My Wife so sneaky. It was based on a kernel of truth. Memes like this often use a process called trading up the chain, pioneered by a media entrepreneur, Ryan Holiday, who describes the method in his book, Trust Me, I'm Lying. Campaigns begin with posts in blogs or other news outlets with low standards. If all goes well, somebody notable will inadvertently spread the disinformation by a tweet, which then leads to coverage in a bigger and more reputable outlets. Hashtag Draft My Wife was outed fairly early on as a hoax and got debunked in the Washington Post, the Guardian, and elsewhere. The problem is taking the trouble to correct disinformation campaigns like these can satisfy the goal of spreading the meme as far as possible, a process called amplification. No such thing as bad publicity, and even if you're drawing public, trying to make awareness that this is a bad thing, a little bit. A couple of was it last year? I'm pretty sure it was when Netflix put the series Cuties out. Lo and behold, a whole bunch of memes were saturated and situated and circulating on social media. Did you know that Netflix Cuties has paedophilia and it promotes child sex? Well, good job promoting that to people who may be inclined to find that stuff arousing, that were unaware that Netflix had content of that nature on its streaming platform. That may. Thanks for the heads up. No need to go on the dark web if Netflix has soft-core child pornography. But anyway, hey, what does that button do? God damn it, Curl. There's one of the examples of the Curl memes circulated by some of these veterans. But memes online make hoaxes and psychological operations easy to pull off on an international slash global scale. We should view them as a serious threat. The good news is that a bill is in the works in the US Congress, and this would form a national commission to assess the threat posed by foreign and domestic all actors manipulating social media to cause harm. Just focusing on these actors misses the point, though. For much of the same reason, these meme inspired military recruiting campaigns miss the point. Memetic warfare works only if those waging it can rely on a massive public participation to spread the memes and obscure their original authors. So rather than going after the meme creators, politicians and institutions looking to counter meme war might do better to strengthen their institutions that create and distribute reliable information. I'm trying to distribute reliable information via my platform I created myself that is free from outside influence, or at least I hope so. But again, if you've got enough money and you want to pay me to read your propaganda, go ahead, make me an offer. But the media, academia, non-partisan government agencies, and so on are just, what they're saying should be able to distribute reliable information, while US cyber defense works with the platform companies to root out influence operations. And if that doesn't work, blame Carl. Ha 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 ha. So there you go, was another little article on weaponized memes. Three's a charm, as they say. Hopefully, those three articles have provided you with quite a lot of information and maybe evidence that indeed memes are a little bit more harmful than just fun little quirky social commentaries that are shared amongst friends. They are weapons of mind manipulation and thought implantation. Share if you agree by now, guys. Please do so. It'd be nice to see that at least more than 1% of the viewership is agreeing to what I'm saying. I'm just joking again, playing with some medical rhetoric for you. So let's quit with the weaponized memes and let's go and look at a couple of examples of how memes can indeed influence and possibly rewrite history, as well as how they can miscontextually spread a subcultural phenomenon based on merely a few words in a picture in a meme. So stay tuned, guys. We will be back momentarily, although I am going to take a quick bathroom break and go and get a little bit of nicotine before and THC before we do read the next article. But for you guys, it will be only a few short seconds away. Guys, welcome back. I had a much needed bathroom and smoke break, although it was only a few seconds for you. But here we are at the Oprah magazine website. Oprah Winfrey, OW, One World. Is she likely to be the queen of the One World Order? Wouldn't surprise me in the least. She would be a prime candidate. She has a very, very wide global audience. But we're going to look at an article that was on the Oprah magazine website from a little while ago. And it is about, as I will read to you, although you've probably read it, what is the, and in comments there, I'm going to tell my kids meme, and then an explanation to the hilarious viral moment. And here it is at the bottom. The internet is having a lot of fun, and I'm going to underline that there for you, although you probably can't see the underlining. Rewriting history. So, how do we rewrite history? Why? By providing misinformation that rewrites history. And there is a picture of, I guess, a stock photograph of a lady of black origins. Obviously, Oprah Winfrey is a black lady also, but there is a politically correct imagery of a lady laughing at a popular meme on her computer by the looks of it then. And the I'm going to tell my kids meme is just the latest viral internet moment taking over social media. The meme, which originated back in September of 2019, I know we've actually mentioned this meme before, and I'm almost certain that it was Double M, good old Maiden Montana, who said, "Yeah, what is the deal with it?" at the time we mentioned it. But this was a meme that originated back in 2019 in September and features people delivering comedic revisionist takes on notable cultural figures. I'm going to tell my kids has touched on politics, culture, music, and history. Still wondering exactly what it means? We've broken it down for you here. And another very, very popular meme at the same time, another meme that I've seen some of you sharing, and I'm too have also made anti-memes using that image of a lady screaming of a cat. And I think we also covered an article that traced the origins of that particular meme in one of the other memetical streams that we featured on TSP TV. But the lady screaming at a cat meme is so 2 weeks ago, according to the magazine at time of publication. And the social media has quickly and swiftly found a new source of memetical, and that's my addition there, comedy rewriting of history. Again, rewriting of history is very, very, very important because children, again, who are very impressionable and look up to their adults for the questions to all answers, might start going through life believing that the things that they got told, that their parents told them, were in fact not the things that they were led to believe. But parents are often given a gift they don't know is a gift, the mindless pleasure of telling white lies to their children. No, really. Think about Santa Claus. In my edition, maybe religion, but that is up to you to decide. But don't worry, studies have shown that telling a white lie every once in a while to your kids isn't bad as long as you eventually let them know their knowledge is incorrect. Otherwise, you could turn out like this writer whose mother told her cat in the hat told her Cat on the Hot Tin Roof was about a woman named Cat who lost her cat on the roof of her house on a hot summer day and burned her feet instead of being a social commentary on mendacity, morality, and the fate of a man, leading her to a very embarrassing interaction with a playwriting professor in college. But that's another story for another day. That's a great story. We don't really want to hear, I'm sure. But the internet, as of late, has decided that they are going to prepare the little white lies in the form of the I'm going to tell my kids meme, which involves a lot of mental loopholes and a ton of laughter. That's up to you to decide. Laughter or humor is a little bit like beauty in the eye or the ear of the beholder. But what is the I'm going to tell my kids meme exactly? more from the Oprah magazine that we're not going to look at. Here is how it works. A photo is posted to social media, and the person posting it usually just says, I'm going to tell my kids. The image they posted is of a certain celebrity when it is fact far from the actual celebrity mentioned. Usually the image posted shares some traits or characteristics in common with that of the cultural historic figure. As we've seen just before this article come up, I posted a little meme in there that I caught in reference to I'm going to tell my kids, and this mimetic viral sensation in particular was of Johnny Five and the girl whose name I forgot that was in Short Circuit, along with I'm going to tell my kids this is Sarah Connor in the Terminator. Those of us in Generation X who grew up on Short Circuit and Terminator will know that they're very, very, very different movies, although both do contain the programmatics of artificially intelligent robotics that may or may not be weaponized. In the case of Johnny Five, he was a friendly one. In the case of Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was a deadly motherfucking I'm not going to stop till I kill you type artificially intelligent robot. But anyway, it's almost too simple to put in words, but allow me to show you some examples. And here is one from Pat Tobin, who has a picture of a cat as her profile on Twitter. I'm going to tell my kids this is Danny DeVito, and there it is, Baby Yoda from the popular Disney Plus streaming series The Mandalorian. Let's take the greatest and most dangerous bounty hunter in the entire galaxy and turn him into a babysitter for a cute puppet. You see, that almost definitely is not Danny DeVito. At least I hope you don't think it is. But young minds who don't know who Danny DeVito is might think, oh, wow, Baby Yoda is Danny DeVito. But according to the Internet Meme Encyclopedia, know your meme, yes, there is an online Internet Meme Encyclopedia that does explain memes and has references to almost every meme ever published. The meme's origin goes all the way back to September the 2019, and this is also very disturbing in its sense of the fact that they can point out and trace and track the official point of origin, unless, of course, the point of origin was one of these operatives that work at organizations like the Internet Research Agency. This whole sole and entire purpose is to distribute such propagandic memetics to social media platforms for the unexpecting public to memetically copy and carry on and help it to go viral. So there could be a very, very, very strong chance that that is how they are able to trace and track its actual origin and the first time it was ever posted. And that is also something we covered when we looked at the cat lady screaming at the cat meme and its origin, that they can trace it back. But then again, we do carry around data collection devices in the palm of our hands who are self-monitoring analysis research technology that will research everything and will quite possibly, without too much trouble, be able to find exactly when the first point of origin of such memetics appeared. But I digress. And this is kind of where it really goes back, the origin in 2019, when a Twitter user at Wake in Bacon referred to good old Canadian Korea, along North Korea. I'm trying to do there. Never mind. But the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he did the blackface controversy was going around at the time, and posted an image with the caption reading, "I'm going to tell my kids in 2055 that this was Justin Trudeau." And there it is. Although it's beats by little Brutus who shared it here, not Waking Bacon. And there's a picture of a comical cartoon genie with a black face from yesterday. Yeah. But the meme truly took off in mid-November 2019 when Twitter user at MTGBaby posted a photo of rapper Lil Wayne with the caption, "I'm telling my kids this is Bill Gates." And the next day, Twitter user Lowen Duffy tweeted a picture of Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad with a caption, "I'm going to tell my kids this was Obama." By November 20, the meme was in full force when it was inadvertently thrust onto the mainstream by, well, outage and good timing. Gregory Allen Howard, co-screenwriter and producer of recently released film, is that Harriet? Revealed in a Q&A that 25 years before Cynthia Erivo brought Harriet Tubman's story to the big screen, Hollywood executives suggested that Julia Roberts might play the famous black female leader of the Underground Railroad. I was told how one studio head said in a meeting, "This script is fantastic. Let's get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman," Howard said. When somebody pointed out that Roberts couldn't be Harriet, the executive responded, "It was so long ago, no one is going to know the difference." But of course, the internet exploded. People were outraged, and the "I'm going to tell my kids" meme was given new life. Seriously, type in "gonna tell my kids this was Harriet Tubman" into Twitter, and you will be swimming in a sea of Julia Roberts photos. Now, there's an endless amount of "I'm gonna tell my kids" memes, and some get political. Here is "I'm gonna tell my kids this was Beto O'Rourke." John Mullery is a comedian, and this is not Beto O'Rourke. And people aren't afraid to ascribe religious worships either. "I'm going to tell my kids this was Jesus Christ." And there's a beta male that's very, very real, well groomed, and probably got so many products in his hair. It put Vidal Sassoon to shame. But on a lighter note, this meme also works for things you wish were true, like wishing the gone but not forgotten and forever underrated buddy comedy Happy Endings had to run as many seasons as Friends. Not sure what that's all about. But I'm going to tell my kids this is Friends, and obviously that isn't the cast of Friends at all. And they're telling you here that some are flat out hilariously untrue, but I would love to live in a world where they were. And this is a little bit disconcerting, because maybe we are going to live in a world where they are true. Bear in mind, this is from Oprah Winfrey, and good old National Socialist leader Adolf Hitler once was quoted as saying, "A lie repeated often enough is widely accepted as the truth." And is this what the intent and purpose of the viral "I'm telling my kids this" is all about? And this one is saying, "I'm going to tell my kids this is Gordon Ramsay," and that is the Pixar animated mouse from Ratatouille, of course. "I'm going to tell my kids this was the Queen of England, Meghan Markle," a very disturbing, maybe foreshadowing that perhaps the royal family might all die, and unfortunately, due to the fact that there's no one left in the lineage, Meghan might take to the throne, unless of course she isn't suicided like her mother in law, and blame it on paparazzi and a drunk driver. What's the difference between a Volkswagen and a Mercedes? Well, Princess Diana wouldn't be seen dead in a Volkswagen. Ba-boom, ching. Dark humor there. But while others are simply just reframing references from millennial youth in hilarious ways, there are also plenty of nonsensical ones that exist for the niche, the most niche of niche markets. "I'm going to tell my kids this is Megan Rapinoe," and that is the man-woman United States women's national soccer team player that acts and behaves mimetically like a male footballer. It's actually quite shit, to be quite honest, in comparison. Like schoolboys of no real sort of training are much more gifted and able to play football than she is. But never mind. That is Real Housewife of New York holding loving Queen Dorinda Medley, and not American soccer legend Megan Rapinoe. But then again, we've never seen the two of them in the same room. And this is something from Dwight K. Schrute, probably a clone account or a bot account dedicated to Dwight from The Office. "I'm going to tell my kids this is Britney, bitch." Michael Scott from The Office rolls up in that scene playing Lady Gaga, quotes Britney Spears and says, "Britney, bitch." Guess what? Apparently, it was possible to add another layer of untruth on top of that. Another aspect of the meme is Twitter users ascribing famous couples onto other people in hope that one day they will fall in love. Gonna tell my kids this was Miss Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra, and obviously again there's some characters from The Office. Gonna tell my kids this was JFK and Jacqueline Kennedy. Going to tell my kids this is Jack and Rose. Jack and Rose from the Titanic, I'm guessing. And that's Macaulay Culkin. Is it Hillary? Not sure if that is or not. This one will only make sense if you've seen Succession. And of course, celebrities are getting in on the joke too. Kevin Jonas of the Jonas Brothers definitely knows who Blink 182 is. And there's a post from the Jonas Brothers. I'm going to tell my kids this was Blink 182, I'm guessing. Yes, it is. There you are. And Jackie Harry wants to forever remind you that she is not Kim Watley. I'm going to tell my kids this is me. Interesting. Oh, and the grandparents are getting involved too. I'm going to tell my grandkids this was Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, when clearly that isn't Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. Isla Fisher has many stories about being confused for Amy Adams, including the time she replaced herself in her own family holiday card with a photo of Amy Adams. So this one does not need to be explained. Have you come across your own hilarious "I'm going to tell my kids" memes? If not, share in the comments below or tag us on social media with @Oprah Magazine. So go out of your way to be sure to do that. So that was a little look at how viral sensations spread and how quite possibly these memes "I'm going to tell my kids" celebrities are completely different celebrities to the ones I'm telling my kids they are, might be a way to rewrite history and spread a lie big enough that becomes the truth. But anyway, let's go and look at another contextual meme that spread an awful lot of memetical behavior as a result, and one that I've mentioned many times before in regards to V for Vendetta. So stay tuned, guys. We are coming back momentarily. Alrighty, here we are, truthifiction.com, and the headline is the 2005 or 2005 film V for Vendetta, about a virus and set in 2020. My answer that I've mentioned many times and spoke to it, and also had conversations with people who had posted this meme that was inaccurate about V for Vendetta, in particular the movie, not the book. I don't really recognize the movie as V for Vendetta, as does the author Alan Moore himself. Has no association with the movie at all, but I do use the book as point of reference. But the movie itself, 2005, is not set in 2020, and it is not about a virus, although there is one scene where they do mention a virus in a past tense. So the claim was that the 2005/2006 film V for Vendetta was set in the year 2020, and its premise was the use of a virus to control population. That was released in 2006 in the United Kingdom, because during 2005, and the movie takes place in London, does show some terrorist activity. London itself had its own false flag psychological operation, terrorist jihad attack on the underground, something we might have to discuss at some point in. And the rating was contextualized, and they are reporting here that on the June 21st, 2020, the Facebook page Cosmic Enlightenment, not that enlightened at all, shared the following meme, which claimed that the 2006 film V for Vendetta was about the use of a virus to control populations, and that it was set in 2020. And there is a link to that website if you want. Alongside a still image of a character in the film, the text read, Did you know the 2005 film titled V for Vendetta is about a totalitarian dictatorship, that part is right, that gains its power by creating a society of fear due to an alleged virus spreading throughout the world? In the film, the media pushes fear-based propaganda on the television screen of every household, and on the streets of the authoritarian dictator promises security, but not freedom. The constant theme of the movie is it's for your own safety and is represented throughout the film. Most importantly, the film ends with society waking up and to the corrupt fascist regime and is dismantled. What year is the film set? 2020. It's actually set in the late 2020s, 2028 or 2027, which we will discover in a moment. And you can go and watch the movie for yourself and find out that there's absolutely no reference whatsoever throughout the entire duration of the movie that suggests that it takes place in 2020. The claim that V for Vendetta's premise and setting in the year 2020 strongly resembled another earlier coronavirus prediction rumor that the movie Akira, the anime movie, was also persistent rather about the year 2020. But when was V for Vendetta released? Although the film had a limited release in December 2005, it wasn't released in the United States until March 2006. When was V for Vendetta set? A March 2006 review. Hold on a second, let me make that a little bit larger. Written by Roger Elbert, mentions the year 2020 at the start. It is the year 2020. A virus runs wild in the world. Most Americans are dead, and Britain is ruled by a fascist dictator who promises security but not freedom. One man stands against him, the man named V, who moves through London like a wraith. Despite the desperate efforts of the police, he wears a mask showing the face of Guy Fawkes, who in 1605 tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. On November the 5th, the eve of Guy Fawkes Day, British school children for centuries have started bonfires to burn Guy Fawkes effigies upon. I did it also as a child. On this eve in 2020, V saves a young TV reporter named Evie from rape and at the hands of the police, and forces her to join him and makes a busy night of it by blowing up the Old Bailey. Of the film's basis, Ebert added, the story was first told as a graphic novel written by Alan Moore and published in 1982. Actually, wasn't written as a graphic novel. It was written as a serialization. And in 1983, it was in I think 1984, it was first published as a graphic novel. Its hero plays altogether differently now, and yet, given the nature of the regime, he is a terrorist or freedom fighter. Britain is, and he is a terrorist, and he goes after a vendetta and kills people that have wronged him. That is what he's all about: is vendetta, carrying out the wrongdoings by making them right in the how he sees fit in his eyes. But Britain is ruled by a man named Sutler, who gives orders to his underlings from a wall-sized TV screen and seems the personification of Big Brother. Very much is very much very very Big Brother in Orwellian, another popular mimetic this shared amongst truthers. Orwell 1984 stuff like that is familiar narrative. But anyway, in 1988, there was an article here. Sometime in a future Britain, this is about the book. Sometime in a future Britain, tyranny, a shadow freedom fighter known only by the alias of V, plots to overthrow it with the help of a young woman. In the year 1998, every household is an average citizen of the United Kingdom, sorry, it's a bit squinty there, which is under the rule of a fascist and tyrannical Norse Fire party. V for Vendetta 2005 plot. Here is 14 years later, is V for Vendetta still relevant? This is another reference to an article from November 2019, and it says there, V for Vendetta is set in a dystopian 2027. The British government is a totalitarian neo-fascist organization controlled by the all-seeing guy that we just heard. What was his name again? I've forgotten already. It's been a while since I've actually read V for Vendetta. Anyway, let's move on. So there's another reference that shows that it was set in 2027, not 2020. Listicles about the film didn't mention any specific year for its setting before the 2020 coronavirus pandemic, often vaguely referencing a dystopian future. But is V for Vendetta about a virus? Another simple Google search returned a brief synopsis above that links other plot summaries for V for Vendetta, where the virus element isn't emphasized at all. And you really wouldn't know it was about a virus at all until the one stream that kind of talks pretense outside the timeline of the film, how the Norse Fire Party come to power, that they created a virus and then had the vaccine for it once they were elected that cured everybody, thus empowering them. But following World War, London is a police state occupied by a fascist government, and a vigilante known only as V, played by Hugo Weaving, uses terrorist tactics to fight the oppressors of the world in which he now lives. When V saves a young woman named Evie, played by Natalie Portman, the only good thing about the movie is a scene where she does dress as a hooker, although she dresses as a child hooker, but nevertheless she does look a little bit appealing because we do know that she isn't a child; she is a grown adult woman. But from this, she is saved from the secret police, and he discovers an ally. He actually doesn't discover an ally; he kind of sort of brainwashes her and manipulates her, and actually tortures her for a long period of time, locking her up against her will and making her believe that the police state has locked her up. And when she finally cracks, she does set her free. But in June 2020, Green Rant revisited the plot of the film version of V for Vendetta, framing it in terms of all that had transpired since 2005. When the coronavirus became a worldwide panic, audience turned to Contagion, a little bit of preemptive propaganda, predictive propaganda in the form there, and also some predictive program for sure. Some of the coronavirus narrative is taken straight from the script of Contagion. But during the most recent Black Lives Matter protests, bookshops reported recording sale of works by Black authors, while unfortunately Netflix noted a sudden uptick in viewer numbers for The Help. Now, as protests continue across America and worldwide in opposition to police brutality against black citizens and the scourge of a systematic racism, it shouldn't surprise that Netflix has been hyping V for Vendetta. Part of what keeps the fascist government of V for Vendetta 1980s, in 1980s Britain in power is a pandemic. A disease known as the Samaras virus has ravaged Europe and killed over 100,000 people by the time the film starts. So this has happened before the film. It doesn't happen in the film at all. And it is later revealed that the virus was an act of biological warfare by Creedy, the leader of the Norse Fire Party, which was then blamed on a terrorist group. The result of this massacre and subsequent fear-mongering was an overwhelming majority in Parliament for Norse Fire. It's not exactly difficult to see why a dystopian thriller featuring a pandemic would prove so enticing right now. It's partly why audience turned in droves to Steven Soderbergh's Contagion after the coronavirus became a worldwide concern, and mainly because it was pushed mimetically on many social media platforms and streaming apps, and it was the only movie outside the last 2 years that was trending on streaming apps. You couldn't get away from Contagion, and the purpose of it was that you would hear what they were saying on the mainstream media about the news, and then a little bit like the H.G. Wells, Orson Welles version of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds, where they dramatized fiction You can use the psychosomatic fear of the fictional contagion and could put it in conjunction and alongside with the official narrative of the corona. However, that assessment drew from concerns during the time V for Vendetta was originally written as a graphic novel in the 80s, and again at the time the adaptation appeared in the movie screens around the time that the US had invaded Iraq. The key difference, of course, is that Contagion takes a relatively realistic direction in showing how a devastating pandemic would likely originate and unfold worldwide, whereas V for Vendetta pandemic is kind of a background act of biological warfare. The latter taps into the political concerns that were common in both the late 1980s when the graphic novel was written and in the mid 2000s. And Alan Moore originally kind of writ it as a sort of social commentary in a future Britain under Thatcher. At the time of writing, Thatcher was in power and many of us hated her. When the movie was made during the 80s, and it wasn't made during the 80s, sorry, and in the mid 2000s, sorry, when the movie was made during the 80s, there was a consistent fear that the Soviet Union would utilize germ warfare against America as part of the ongoing Cold War. The Bush administration's case for invading Iraq in the 2000s rested partly on the assertion that the country had never fully dismantled their biological arsenal and weapons of mass destruction, despite the Iraqis' own claims that they had long abandoned this project. The ongoing COVID 19 pandemic has, at the time of writing of this piece, claimed more than 456,000 deaths worldwide, a number that greatly eclipses that of V for Vendetta, and that's just because they've really just rewritten death certificates to say people who died of other things may have died of COVID instead. But again, that analysis existed through the retrospective lens of authorship in the mid 2020 during an active pandemic. By contrast, a 2018 editorial about V for Vendetta's relevance in that year only uses the word virus once and not in a literal manner reference the actual virus in the film. And here is that article. V for Vendetta is not merely a cautionary tale for our country's political morals or trajectory. It is a retelling of events that have, in their fundamental essence, already occurred. Responding to the film a decade ago, Moore savaged the Wachowski sisters' adaptation as a Bush era parable by people too timid to set a political satire in their own country. But as it turns out, the Wachowskis didn't need a CGI shot of the Lincoln Memorial exploding to make enduring commentary on the disease lurking in the heart of American government. It has been encroaching for many decades now, festering and feeding on the worst bigotries of its citizenry, a virus of greed and inhumanity that has corrupted even the noblest intentions of our liberal democracy. Like Evie, we continue to endure each day's fresh traumas, waiting in ourselves for a new dawning, waiting for a time when, like Valerie, we will have our roses and apologize to no one, waiting for a day we know can only come after we decide we'd rather die behind the chemical sheds than suffer one more injustice. As often is the case in retroactive assessments of pop culture predictions, the claim that V for Vendetta was set in 2020 and it was about a virus contained some truth mashed up with a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking to make it look more precedent for attention and clicks and share and agree if you are brave enough to miscontextually share information that you have no real knowledge about. And actually had a couple of discussions in chat, one of which with Michelle, who used to run TSPD News before it was dismantled. She shared the 2020 V for Vendetta meme, and I sort of asked her why, after telling her that it wasn't set in 2020, the movie was set in the later part of the 2020s. And she sort of went on to say, well, I haven't actually seen the movie, it's 2 hours long, a bit long for me. And I'm like, well, why are you sharing information that you don't really truly know? And did you just get your information about the movie from the meme that was incorrect? And this is how incorrect information is spread memetically. Many people don't think they need to watch the movie or find out the information themselves, because the meme told them a very, very tidbit of information that may or may not be actually relevant. But anyway, it contained some truth that it contained a virus and Monday morning quarterbacking to make it look more precedent for attention and clicks. A virus was a plot element for V for Vendetta, but the virus was not the film's central focus. Moreover, a 2006 review by Roger Albert placed the film as set in 2020, but most other pre-2020 references don't mention any year or 2020 specifically. Although the meme wasn't completely fabricated, it was also clearly created with the benefit of hindsight, which is, if you pardon the dad joke, so very 2020. So that is the end of the article, but they give another little example of just how memes can spread misinformation and how people can be manipulated into believing the misinformation that is contained within memes as actual fact. And why I do here at Reality Coded and formerly at TSP TV go to the lengths and trouble of researching many articles of reference on the information that I share my views and opinions and thoughts on is part of these feature presentations. And why these feature presentations are so long is because the information I contain is extensive. And believe it or not, guys, this is only some of the tip of the iceberg of the information that I look into with regards to some of these subjects. You get to see what I consider are the cherry-picked articles that will be the most poignant for reference and informative educational purposes as part of these presentations. And trust me, I can make them much longer, but information cannot be contained to 140 characters. And certainly if you're getting all your information solely and purely from memes that you see on social media, then you may not be as woke as you think, and you may not be woke at all. You may just be sleepwalking in a deep state infused coma. But anyway, hold on, we might be back for more, or we might be returning to the studio momentarily. All right, one last little article before we do head back to the thrift store studio where Reality Decoded will recommence live. This is an article from Sunday, the March the 14th, 2021. Just last weekend from the Daily Observer, from the Omen Daily Observer, and there is a little picture there of two individuals, a man and a lady, and is that the Instagram symbol in the background? I believe so, and they're both looking at their cell phones. Viral visuals driving social media manipulation, VV there. And this, I think, was originally posted on the 26th of September 2019 and reprinted just last weekend. But London, the success of viral memes, videos, and pictures in spreading online disinformation is fueling organized social media manipulation on Instagram and YouTubers. Researchers at the university we will not mention went on to say, in the annual report on disinformation trends, the non-mentionable Internet Institute's compute tutorial propaganda research product said that Facebook remained the most popular platform for social media manipulation due to its size and global reach, but a focus on visual content more likely to be shared online mean users of Google's YouTube video platform and Facebook's Instagram photo sharing site are increasingly being targeted with false or misleading messages, said Samantha Bradshaw, one of the report's authors. On Instagram and YouTube, it's about the evolving nature of fake news. Now, there are fewer text based websites sharing articles, and it is more about video with quick, consumable content, she said. Memes and videos are so easy to consume in an attention short environment. Again, why my videos and streams are very, very long is to remove those attention short individuals from probably the equation. They don't want to watch it because it's too long for them. Some people don't even like to sit 30 seconds through some of my intros. Oh, the intro's too long. I don't got 30 seconds. I'm just going to share some memes and agree with them. Don't care if they're true or factual or not. As long as I get some dopamine in return, it's all good and dandy. But the reports rather findings highlight the challenges faced by Facebook, Google, and other social media companies in combating the spread of political and financially motivated disinformation. As tactics and technologies develop and change, it's easier to automatically analyze words than it is an image. Bradshaw said, and images are often more powerful than words with more potential to go viral. And that's what I'm saying. It's much more easier to share a meme that took you like 15 seconds at the most to read than rather pay attention to a 3 hour long stream that provides you lots of information on in sources of reference on topics of interest. But it is much more easier for these things to go viral than lengthy words, and why websites and such are becoming a thing of the past, and everything runs through the global leaders of social media industry. But the university we won't mention report said that an increased awareness of social media manipulation meant such activity had now been identified in 70 countries worldwide, up from the 28th and that is up, sorry, from 28 in 2017. Computer propaganda has become a normal part of the digital public sphere, the report said. And these techniques also continue to evolve as new technologies are poised, and they are fundamentally reshaping society and politics. So it was only a little short and sweet article then. It does also just go on to show you that these, are tools of propaganda, and they are tools of manipulation. Now, the other thing that you have to bear in mind is sometimes if you do get caught up into the sharing of propaganda and political memes, you inadvertently become a wing of that propaganda spreading division. Maybe you're not, that was your intent, or maybe you feel so very strongly that you have to share propaganda of a political nature via memes on your social media. Then that is your bag, and that's what makes you tick and makes you happy. Then continue to do so. But if or not, you may be a little bit concerned that you may be manipulated in to be a tool of propaganda and misinformation spreading, or you may be a victim of thought implantation, where they are controlling and forcing you what to think. And that's up for you. Hopefully, I've provided you enough information, not only in this stream tonight, memes of manipulation, but also on similar themed content that we streamed previously over at TSP TV. But that for now, guys, let's look at the quirky, cute little picture before we do head back to the Reality Decoded studio, where I'm going to see you live in just a few seconds, where we can recap and chat about what we now think about memes after watching that presentation. See you in a few seconds, guys.
Wake up to reality. Nothing ever goes as planned in this accursed world. The longer you live, the more you will realize that the only things that truly exist in this reality are merely pain, suffering, and futility. Listen. Everywhere you look in this world, wherever there is light, there will always be shadows to be found as